Debbie.
All right, we'll talk later.
We will.
Yeah.
I'm picking up Patty Roggeveen for selectman.
Oh, you are? Oh, good. Yeah, what? Yeah.
We're doing that. There you go. How are you, Patty?
I'm good. How are you, Gino?
Good.
Okay.
How's your morning lining up?
It's been good, actually. It's such a pretty day. It's hard to not have it work.
That's right.
And Bertha.
Oh no, go ahead and give that a good slam. Yeah. That door is. There you go.
There. Yeah, it's been great. I mean, the whole weather thing is my favorite time of the year, really.
Well, you know, I mean, I wish it was a little warmer, but what are you gonna do?
You know what it is, though? It's hope. It's like it's coming, right?
Bertha, go sit down. Good.
It's almost here.
That's right. All right, let's make sure that we got everything. What's your day like today? You're just working, right? Pretty much over at the community school?
I have taken the morning off. I have another interview this morning, and then back to the community school. Yes. So it's it's not that different of a day. So.
Right. How are things at the community school?
We are doing good.
You know, you might as well tell people what's going on with that. I mean, it was in the paper. Right.
Yeah, we are very excited. It was a decision that we made as a staff in some respect, and it's a decision that's actually really evolved over the last couple of years as the right thing to do. We have.
And what is it? Just so folks know what's going on.
We are now, currently we now are supported with some town appropriation, and what we'd like to do is go out and become a not-for-profit completely. So we are supported currently by grants and by fees. So this is not a complete replacement of our budget. And it's not, you know, again, it's not that much in terms of dollars, but it's going to be an exciting change for us, so that we are essentially completely independent of the town support. Now, we've enjoyed the town support, and the town support has really gotten us to a place where we were able to develop our programs,
right,
become what we are, and we appreciate that. So it's not as though we're looking at this as a bad thing,
right,
but we see this as a real positive for us and for the town to take our own direction and to take, frankly, some of the fiscal responsibility that we have enjoyed and give it back to the town. And basically,
how would the town benefit from that?
Well, a couple of ways, actually. First of all, the $310,000 we do receive currently from the town, we would no longer be receiving. And second of all, and I think most importantly, we have about 12 employees right now on health benefits and on retirement benefits, and so we would be able to take those individuals and put them in our own plan, take them off the town's long-term payroll, and off the town's long-term issues with health and retirement. And I know that's a huge issue for the town right now, is how it's going to handle in the future what all those things look like. So I think that's most money. Yeah. And for our, from our perspective, it's a doable enterprise. So why not? And I think too, we have to recognize when the community school began. Will it
be bigger or smaller when it changes?
Well, I think.
What do you think?
We'll stay the same, but we're for a little while. But we do have areas of growth that we can't really accommodate right now within the context of where we are. So we have some hope that there may be other things, service-wise, that we can, we can meet the needs of the communities as well. We're engaging right now, as you may know already, on a couple of new areas in workforce development, which we'd like to have some sort of daytime access for individuals who are looking to improve their professional development, career opportunities to access. So one of the
accredited?
Yes, right, with Cape Cod Community College and others. One of the challenges and benefits is that we do share space with the school district. And while that's great, because obviously people here know what kind of real estate issues there are, we do pay rent. We pay $48,000, which I don't think came out in the paper, but that's important to note. It's not new. It's not a new charge for us to look for and pay for rental property. But we can't use the facility necessarily for classes during the daytime for adults. We do have some children's programs that we do enjoy, but for adults, we don't have the same access. So this would hopefully give us a way to develop that accessibility for adults. And when you talk about career development, you've got to be flexible for people, because people work. And they may work in the evening, and how are they going to be able to access classroom time or course time or library time, whatever it might be. during the time that they also have to be employed. So,
all right, well, let's get right into it. Easy question, why are you running, Patty?
I've learned the answer to the question really has a lot to do with my role as a mother. I feel very personally responsible for providing for my children in many ways, and one of the ways that I think is most essential is to provide for them, I guess, the best community that is possible. I feel that all of us should take seriously our commitment to the community that we're in, and I do think that I do owe them that, and I feel this is really important. I also feel that I've got the background to do it. I feel that I can bring to the Board of Selectmen capabilities that include my experience in working with the town budget through the community school, a rather large budget, and those capabilities are going to be important for the town right now. I believe that I can bring some innovative thinking, some of the things that we've done at the community school I'm particularly excited about, and I can look at the town and some of the issues that it's also looking at, and hopefully bring some of those talents to the town. I also believe that I can bring a professionalism to the position. I take very seriously doing my homework in terms of what would be required on the board. I feel that I've shown that. I have a record of that. If you look at what I've done with the community school, I've made an effort, for instance, to attend all the FinCom meetings, the Finance Committee meetings. It's hours and hours of meetings throughout the spring, winter and spring, because that's the budget, once elected, that you'll be dealing with, and I think it's important that you understand how those decisions were made, and I'm the only candidate that did that. I do think that overall I have both the commitment personal, the commitment from my professional background, and a certain community awareness. My position with the community school is in many respects a really, it's a nice complement to the Board of Selectmen. My job is actually to recognize and address community needs, and in that context, I've been involved with the strategic plans at the school, at the Nantucket Cottage Hospital, at the Athenaeum, at the Salt Marsh Center. All of these things I've been doing during my workday, I can now bring as information that I can share as a Board of Selectmen.
How do you feel the board is doing, and give them a grade?
I actually used to teach political science at one time in my life, so I like giving grades, and I like giving grades for progress. So when I give a grade, I like to evaluate the condition, but also how much they've improved. So I think that my grade's going to continue to have that within it. The board right now is probably, I would say, at about a B+, and it's actually on its way up, and it's really focused on getting better, and I think that that's really key. And for anyone that has been in a position as a teacher, that's what's really exciting and rewarding when you are evaluating someone. I'm not sure I would have been as interested in running had I not seen the board moving in the direction it's going, and I say that with complete and total confidence that it will continue. The board this year has done some remarkable things that don't make the headlines but are really important. For the first time, it's had a report to the people, which was required by the town charter, and it's never been done before. For the first time, it's had a free cash policy, which is something that it should have had as a sort of indicator of its fiscal responsibility. For the first time, the board is addressing issues in a way that encourages open dialogue and a sense of a structured meeting schedule, so that we all know, anticipating what can come, what's coming next. All those things are good and important for how we involve dialogue with the public, just by knowing, okay, the third Wednesday of the month we're going to be talking about licenses, and the fourth Wednesday of the month we're going to be doing this. I think for the public, all those things are important, procedural, and when you have good procedure, you wind up with good policy, and I think that that's key to where the board has been going in the past year, and I have confidence that given what the chairman, Mr. Glowacki, has said, that that's where it will be going in the future. So I do think that the board has handled a lot of very critical issues. Think about it. We've gotten some good. We've gotten closure on some of the sewer issues. We've gotten closure on some of the committee issues, and with a new foresight into looking on how that process is going to be working. We've gotten some real good positive thinking on some of the zoning issues, and I know the planning board deals with that exclusively, but I think Andrew Vorse has done a great job, and that's really thanks to this appointment by the Board of Selectmen. So I do think the board is in a really good place. It's working very well together, which is important. And I should note too that I think that given my skills, working cooperatively as a board is a key.
That's what I was going to ask
Yes,
you.
yes.
How are you going to make it, bring it up to an A? If it's
Right.
a B+ now, how will you bring it up to an A?
You know, the board is it's very important for one to remember that the board is really and should act as a unit. Individual perspectives are secondary to the decisions of the board, and when a group like the Board of Selectmen get together and deliberate on an issue and listen to the information that comes forward, it's very important in some respects to put their own personal interests in the position aside and to be able to deliberate and to recognize what is good for the community as a whole and what the board then decides. I have worked a lot in my capacity with a community school, and again I refer to this because it's a record that Nantucket can see, with a lot of divergent issues, and been able to bring people to the table that have differences both of opinion and of perspective, and get to a closure, get to a place where people are content with the decisions that we move forward with. I do believe that in many respects none of us really know for sure what issues are going to be before the board in the next year. So it's, at some level, talking about issues per se is secondary to talking about behavior and how it is that you work with people. I believe one of my biggest strengths, and ones that I hear from a lot of the public, is that I'm going to bring to the board a continued ability to work with a divergent set of issues, the ability to listen to those issues, contemplate this, and make a decision that is good for the community.
Who are your constituents?
I'm actually enjoying a rather cross-section of people. I'm obviously new to the campaign, which is slightly different from others in the race, except for one. I have been able to talk to, gain the support of individuals that have, I suppose, been identified with other contingents in the past, and I capture both folks that live here as retired and families and with children. But again, I've been very fortunate to find that I've gotten support from a lot of the different contingents on the island. I'm very focused and very interested in a perspective that says while there's many things to love and enjoy about Nantucket, and those things need to be protected, we also have to live and work here, and we need to make that balance real. It's important for all of us to understand that living here and working here is critical to a community and how a community is going to be retained on the island. I fear that in the future, if we're not cognizant of this, we're going to be like many other resort communities where we just essentially ship people in to work here and ship them home at night. And I think that would lose a lot for this island if we were in that place where we didn't have that community of individuals, that working group of people. And again, many of the things, my professional career in many respects, I do what I do because I'm committed to the people of Nantucket as well. We do a lot of programs for children of working families. We do a lot of programs to support that particular part of the island, and it's a very valuable part of the island. A retired community that can afford to stay here, and a working community that can afford to live here.
So, do you have a platform? Are you running on a platform?
Right now, I'm running on a couple of things. Like I said, there's no issues necessarily that I'm taking on, and interestingly enough, if you look at annual town meeting, there's no particular issue that's dividing the community one way or the other. I'm really running on my capabilities. Gino, I believe that I have the ability to get to the board and to help make the community a better place by my background and experience, my perspectives on how to work with people and bring people together, and also my awareness of community need. If anything, I would say that I'm running on a platform that talks about budget constraint and looking at the budget process as we are in now. I know that the override is a big issue this year, and when I consider what the bills are, I know we need to pay them, but I also know that we need to get serious about being disciplined in our fiscal approach, that we need to start setting, and I know the Board of Selectmen this is another part of their grade, has set goals, but we need to link the goals more aggressively to our spending patterns. And just because something might be good, it doesn't mean we can afford it. And we need to start looking at at those questions in a much more serious way than we have in the past. So I would say that my platform in many respects is not just my capabilities, but also a serious eye on the budget, and to look at the budget and the long-term budget, payroll budget in particular, without frightening the town employees. I don't think that they should be the victims in all of this, but to look at that budget in a realistic way and with an eye that says, you know, can we really afford this, whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing, and how much better can we afford this? Can we find outside revenue? I know that one of the things that we've done with community school has been successful and aggressive in trying to get other state support, and I think the town can do better there. Can we look to contract out some of these services so we don't take on the long-term obligations of the payroll? How can we creatively make this work so that we're not talking about the overhead that we now have?
Well, I think you've kind of given us the answer. Your experience is based on the fact that you've run the community school, right? I mean, that's the experience you're bringing to the table.
I bring to the table because people can see it.
Yeah.
I also have had numbers of years in Washington, D.C. working for not-for-profits and a career that came before my time on Nantucket, grant writing and the like. But I believe that all those things I can talk about, you know, they've got the 5 years of my time with the Community Network for Children and the couple of years with the community school to sort of see that it's actually happened.
How do you feel about the way the island's growing?
The growth issues on the island are interesting. I think that there have been a lot of serious concern about numbers. I don't think those are the right questions. My sense is more, or my focus is more on what it looks like. Someone said to me once, and I think it's an important point, you know, two of the densest places on the island are town and Sconset, and yet they're the most highly sought after in terms of places to live. They're beautiful, and they've been constructed in such a way as to be beautiful. And I think that when we look at issues of growth, we need to look at those kinds of issues as well. And sometimes our zoning or some of the other regulations have unintended consequences that don't make things actually as attractive. I do believe that issues like growth need a lot of input from the community. Again, this is one of the places where, as a selectman, I believe that you really do need to listen and to take into account the situation for different individuals and how it all kind of comes together.
It's obvious that we're growing.
Right.
So how do you see that?
You know, I'm going to give a little plug to Andrew Boris here, because I really have been impressed with what's going on. He's not even been in his place in the position he's in right now. I know he's been with the department for a while, but he and I have had a couple of conversations, and what he said to me once, which I found particularly important, was that you have to be cognizant of what the island is ready for when you're looking at growth. And when you go from a position like that and you make decisions, some that are hard and some that are easy, you're going to get a lot more support from individuals.
What's the island ready for?
Well, Pine Valley is a good example of what the island's ready for, and Pine Valley is brilliant. It looks at across the island and says, okay, look, we can talk to the neighborhood here, which they did. We can make these changes, which they proposed, and everyone's happy. And yet, it's going to control the density of that particular neighborhood in a significant way. The zoning article that concerns Squam is another example. Looking at current use and current practice, talking to the neighborhood, very important. Moving forward with a proposal, and hopefully, for the sake of giving all the support for it, it will pass town meeting. I do believe in the legislative process in Nantucket, and I also need to remind everyone that the questions of growth are really legislative questions as well. They're questions that come before town meeting, and they do that for a good reason. They're important for all of us to have a voice on. But getting back to Andrew, his approach is one that's deliberate in its inclusion of the particular neighborhoods. He's also able to look through and over the community and make some good decisions about what folks are ready for. And then when they're not quite there yet, they've moved back and said, okay, we need more discussion, more thinking, and more input on this, and then move forward with it. And I think all of those things are appreciative. I appreciate it, at least in terms of how we're going about things. And I will say that after a number of years where no movement occurred with the master plan, we may wind up at this town meeting with some significant changes to the zoning to zoning on the island that have come about in very small increments, and I celebrate that. I think it's important.
How do you feel about the landfill? What changes do you feel that we should take, or maybe we should just leave it alone?
I believe that, again, this is one of the reasons why the board needs individuals on it that have the capacity to deal with very complicated issues. The landfill is a situation where we shouldn't be where we are right now. I'm pleased that the board is involved in the litigation that it's involved in. I don't have all the information, obviously, about what's going on with that,
right.
but I think it's the right step because obviously it's not working very well. I'm also excited about the private sector initiatives that are being put forward by for the C&D disposal. I know that this is in response to new legislation that's coming down, but all of those things are exciting to me because they involve the private sector with the public sector in a constructive way.
What about chain stores downtown?
I think that
we should keep them away?
You know, this community has a unique flavor, and I think that should be protected. And I don't have an issue with that. I know that there's been issues raised about its constitutionality, and I think that needs to be addressed and probably looked at. But it's not a bad thing to say, you know what, this is Nantucket, and it needs to stay Nantucket.
Anything else you'd like to add, Patty?
I just want to say thank you, Dino. This has been a nice experience. And
anything else I haven't covered, or anything you want to say to folks out there?
I just want to say, and I will be saying thank you to people that have been so friendly and wonderful. This is a first for me, and I've not been on the campaign trail before, and I found it to be a really, really heartening experience. And I encourage others to actually go ahead and get involved because it's not bad. It really is fun.
Oh, good. Well, all right. Well, thanks for coming for a ride with me.
Thank you, Gino.
It was good to see you.
You too.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.